Hello, this is Ty, Sound of Minder. New video. So today I went to the Rocky Mountain Record Show in Denver. Got myself a koozie. They give these away for free. It's a record show that is, I want to say, twice a year. This is my second time I went. It's a 2-day event. Today being the last day. So yeah, I picked up some records that I was going to show. So when I walked in, the first vendor had a shit ton of jazz, like a lot of good jazz, a lot of OGs. Unfortunately, they were really, really expensive, those OGs, but I managed to find a few that were not outrageously priced. And I'm going to show these first. So I got, what is it called? All the New Dreams Playing. There you go. This is with Don Cherry, Dewey Redman, Charlie Hayden, Ed Blackwell, ECM label. There they are. I've heard this, I streamed this before, but I've never had the record, so now I do. Looking forward to that one. Another Don Cherry I found at the same vendor was Cadona 2. He's playing here with Nana Vasconcelos and Colin Walcott. Another one that I've heard, but I've never had the record off, so nice to have added to the collection. And then a non-jazz record I found was Henry Cow. This is, I want to say, a reissue, which came out a year or two after the original came out. Henry Cow is some jazz elements, some experimental elements, some it's a bit out there. Fred Frith is in here on guitars, violin, viola. You have Tim Hodgkinson, organ, piano, alto sax, clarinet, voice, Jeff Lee, saxes, John Greaves, bass, piano, and Chris Cutler on drums, toys, piano, whistle. Recorded in '73. I want to say this came out in the late '70s, the record. Yeah, looking forward to listening to this one. I happened to be listening to Fred Frith record just last night, so looking forward to this one. A different vendor, I found this one for actually very cheap. Another ECM record, Meredith Monk, Turtle Dreams. Haven't heard this particular record. Of course, I'm pretty familiar with her work. I'm not sure what to expect here. It also has Colin Walcott, Julius Eastman, Steve Lockwood, Paul Langland, and Andrea Gutman on this. So should be an interesting listen. Then the next vendor was a vendor that drove up from Oklahoma yesterday, they claimed. It was like a 10-hour drive. They had some pretty interesting stuff that I snatched a few off of their crates. Another Don Cherry record here with Gato Barbieri. This is a reissue, a '70s reissue from the '60s album Togetherness. Excuse me for the glare. This is on Inner City. Yeah, from the mid '60s and reissued in '76. Looking forward to this one too. It has Gato Barbieri on tenor, Don Cherry on cornet, Carl Berger vibes, JF Jenny Clark on bass, and Aldo Romano on drums. Recorded in Paris, 65. And then I also got another Don Cherry. He's a sideman here. It's a Albert Eiler record, Vibrations. Albert Eiler, you have Don Cherry, Gary Peacock, and Sonny Murray. It's an Arista Freedom. It's a promo copy. Yeah, Arista, looking forward to this. Recorded in Copenhagen in 64, and the record came out in 75. I don't recall if this is a reissue. I want to say yes. Okay, and then we have, so this is quite interesting. I hadn't seen it before. It's various artists. Ancient Meat Revived. It's a tribute to the Cold Meat Industries label that was around since the 80s and then ceased in 2014, I want to say, but I think they're actually started back up a few years ago. The glare. It's kind of a pain to take it out, but so Cold Meat Industries, they do a lot of power electronics, noise, and this is basically a tribute to that label. This came out on Nuclear Blast, I want to say. I'm not quite sure. So Ancient Meat Revived. It's a gatefold. I sampled this one a little bit. It's pretty dark. It's doom, black, death, metal, with some dark ambient undertones or overtones even. So looking forward to that one. Then the last vendor I visited had 2 records that were of interest to me. One of them was an artist I was familiar with, which is Sarah Davachi. And the record is called Gave in Rest, which I hadn't heard before. Her last record came out last year, Two Sisters. It was a triple album even, which was very good. This one looks very interesting as well. It was recorded in the Hotel Tatango in Montreal, which is a recording studio frequently used by the Constellation guys, so Godspeed You Black Emperor, Mount Zion, what have you. And also a few of the players are on here. I just saw Thierry Amar on bass. You have Jessica Moss on violin. They're both in Godspeed You Black Emperor. And they have Terry Ron at recorder and Lisa McGee at voice on 1 or 2 songs. I should hold this up. And then you have Zara Davachi herself on flute, mellotron, organs, piano, synthesizer, voice. So this is from Bada Bing Records. And it came out in 2017, I want to say. And then another record from the same vendor. I hadn't heard of this artist before, but he sold it to me well. Mohammad Som Sakar Ifis. I hope I'm saying that right. This is dark ambient. I sampled it. This is kind of a blind buy. I sampled this as I put it in Discogs. It sounds very, very good. I'm excited to give this a proper spin after cleaning it. So yeah, again, that's Mohammad Som Sakar Ifis. Dark ambient, label Pan. Came out in 2013. After this, I made a mistake. Actually, before I left the Rocky Mountain Record Show, they had a Vinyl Me Please stand there as well, which, as you probably know, they're going to open up in Denver, a plant. At least that's what's supposed to happen. But I spoke to them And I asked, so what's the status? And they were shooting for May, but they're running into a lot of issues apparently with not licensing. They're running into a lot of issues regarding the construction. Basically, the city is not really on board with the whole deal. But the guy did tell me that they have a lot of presses on site already. But the original plan is on the website. That might not occur that way, basically. They're gonna start pressing records eventually, probably hopefully in May, but they're not, the whole plan of the big store and cafe and all that, they're not sure if that's all gonna happen at this point. So after I left the show, the Rocky Mountain Record Show in Denver, I visited 2 record stores that I hadn't been to before. The biggest record stores in Denver area are Twist and Shout, which is great, and Wax Trax, which is pretty great too. They actually have 2 locations next to each other. One is for new stuff, and the other location is all used stuff. So, but I didn't go to those. I looked up 2 new ones, to me anyway, in the area. The first one was called Invincible Records, and they had a lot of nice things for good prices. But I already spent quite a bit of money at the show, so I didn't want to go too crazy. But I did pick up the Pharoah Sanders Moonchild reissue from Music on Vinyl. It came out, I want to say last year. This is Pharoah Sanders on sax, William Henderson on piano, Stafford James on bass, Eddie Moore on drums, and Chic Tidiane Fall on percussion. Record from '89, and it was reissued last year, I think, 2022, yes. And then after that, I went to one more store. What's the name? Recollect Records, I want to say. And frankly, they didn't have a lot of things that I was into. I have a lot of oldies stuff. But I did find this record, which is pretty interesting, Diga, or Daiga, rhythm band. I like the cover to begin with. And then it's basically a lot of percussion work. These are the players. I'm not really familiar with any of the players on here, but this was released in the 70s on Rounders Records, which was a short-lived label, as I understand it, was ran by Jerry Garcia of Grateful Dead and the manager of Grateful Dead. So yeah, that's the last one. Thank you for watching, and until next time.